This will be a very short video, but I just want to show you here the properties of your log functions. So down here I've actually got two log functions. One I wrote, just hand wrote here, but the first function here, this one that's actually embedded into the graph, is for when a is greater than 1. So this is what you get when you have the log of x base a and a is greater than 1. Now if a is less than 1, of course a has to be greater than 0, so really it just means if a is between 0 and 1, then the graph would look more like this. Okay, now so either one of these log functions, you can see that the domain is the set of positive real numbers. So in other words, the domain is the set from 0 to infinity. You'll notice that there's no portion of the graph that's over here where the x values are negative, and the range is actually the set of all real numbers. So in either graph, like this graph, the range goes from negative infinity up to positive infinity, and also this does too, because down here you can get as low as you want, so x goes to negative infinity, and then it also goes up to positive infinity. The x-intercept, you'll notice both of these graphs cross the x-axis at the point 1, 0, and neither one of them would cross the y-axis, so there's no y-intercept. The y-axis is actually a vertical asymptote, so the y-axis serves as a vertical asymptote for this graph. And then notice that if a is greater than 1, so for this graph, the function is an increasing function, but when a is less than 1, like on this graph, then the graph is a decreasing function. And both of these functions pass the horizontal line test, so therefore the functions have an inverse. And so, like I said before, these functions are actually going to be the inverse of their corresponding exponential functions. So for example, if you had an exponential function base 2, like y equal 2 to the x, its inverse would be the log function base 2. So these two functions would actually be inverse functions of one another. Alright, well that's all I have on the properties of functions. So in the next video we'll continue talking about some other aspects of these log functions.